Coach, again, great job on the win today. I have two questions. One is relevant to this game, and one is just some more of a historical context of the WNBA, picking your brain for knowledge for the most part. But first one, how proud are you of your team for finding a way in the fourth quarter again on the road against another fired up opponent?
Yeah.
And then two, with the Mystics situation, they started out 0-12 and positioned themselves legitimately to be in the playoff this year. You seen anything like that before?
Yeah. So on the first part, we'd obviously like to play well, throughout the game. And, I thought the first half we were completely outplayed by the Mystics, the same as the last game against the Fever. And so for whatever reason, we're kind of waiting around to play to our identity. And that's a bad habit that, we sort of talked about. We'd like to break that habit. And, defending at a high level is necessary. There were 0 points off turnovers in the first half for the Mystics. It's just 6 turnovers, only 3 live ball turnovers. And then we generated 21 points off turnovers in the second half. That's a big thing for us. And so once we got that and we got some easier stuff, we got some flow to the game, we kind of got our footing and, give Washington credit. They made things difficult for us on the offensive end. And, we weren't able to, put the ball in the hole at a very high clip. So with regard to the record, I actually in 2001 was a part of a team that started 1-10. That was at a 32 game schedule. And so very similar, situation in that, it's tough to go through. We were 0-6 last year. I can't imagine 0-12. But I saw in the Mystics the same thing that we saw in our team last year, which was they just kept playing. It didn't really feel like, I bet if you walked into their facility, you wouldn't know they were 0-12. A lot of times when you're 0-12, there's a mood. It's hard to be around. There's pointing fingers. It just seemed like a group that really, stays together, has that chemistry at the core. And not surprised at all to see that they've rebounded. I think Eric's done a heck of a job. Said that a few times now, and that they're in that spot or in position to be able to get that last spot. And it's great competition for the eighth seed right now. So we're happy to get the win. It's a team that's hungry to obviously be there and sort of do it on their floor. However we got there, winning the game is most important. You're welcome.
We'll now pivot to
I'm from Hungary. I have
cool
questions.
Yeah.
One is regarding the game, and congratulations for this win. And
Thank you.
It's usually said that a victory shouldn't be explained, but it seemed to be a little bit tougher this game.
Yeah.
What do you think are the main reasons? The team is already focusing on the playoffs, which is secured already.
Good Lord, I hope not. That would be really immature of our team, and I've not seen our team be immature. So I'm not going to assign it to that they're waiting for playoffs to start. I honestly think that Washington plays with a physicality. I watched 3 games of our offense against these guys, and oftentimes I can come away with, okay, here's what we got to do. This is what they're not good at. This is where we're going to make them pay. I had a hard time finding easier stuff for us, and so we had to try to play through the post more than what we've done in the past, and just trying to find different ways. We found some success with that. Without Dorka available to us in the second half, we had a hard time. We wanted to play a little bigger. We wanted to put Fee at the 3 and again try to score some easy baskets that way. But I just think Washington's physicality is effective. We had an officiating crew analytically that didn't call a lot of fouls. That's a perfect combination for the Mystics, because the physicality was permitted, and we talked to our team about that's usually us. And so at minimum, it should be both teams, knockdown, drag out, and we weren't that in the first half for sure. But so I think that's why it was hard. Is I think they played good defense.
And I would like to ask you shortly about Dorka.
Yeah.
It was last year was her first season. This is her second season. What is her main role in the team, and how about your collaboration with her?
Yeah. And it was unfortunate that you're here today. We weren't able to see a lot of Dorka, but Dorka's in her second year, as you mentioned, and finding I think for a post player, the things that she did last year and the maturity that she showed and being able to play in a game, it's really she made it look easy. It's hard to do for rookies to be able to play pick and roll defense, to be able to play multiple schemes. There's oftentimes a big adjustment there, and Dorka just continues to be a mature player in that regard. And her role is obviously to, we've got Fee and Alana Smith, and then Dorka and Maisha. The two of them give us a great opportunity to, have quality depth, and to make sure that when Lan and Fee are off the court, that we're still humming and we're still able to get the things we want to get. I think Dorka is just a tremendous ball mover. I think she's really embraced that. She'll knock down open three when she's left alone, and yeah, she continues to grow. You're welcome.
We'll now go to the Zoom, starting off with Ken.
You talk about, I mean, this this being kind of a replay of the first half, second half flip, but I mean, the third quarter, you guys still were struggling on offense. You only scored 16 points. You won the quarter.
Yep.
And then in the fourth quarter, it was those steals by Maisha and Natisha that kind of got things turned around. I mean, offense will come and go, but if you guys play defense the way you play, you can win on nights when shots just aren't going, right?
I should let you give the pregame talk. That's exactly, that's what we say all the time. Defense gets you through your most difficult times. For whatever reason, I mean, again, we talked about Washington's physicality, but I also thought we had a number of open shots that, that were in close proximity to the basket that we just couldn't find the bottom. And so we just tried to stay with it. And we just, at halftime, once again, we reminded them, what our identity is. And we have to get to where they're doing that on their own and not being reminded and coaxed, to play harder or to take them out of certain things. And so, again, however we got there. Defensively was the reason why we were able to, have a chance to win a game that we only shot 41% in. So, and it was across the board. I mean, we had struggles across the board personnel wise, and it was, some good play, and then all of a sudden, not so good play, but winning ugly is a win, regardless of how we get there. Credit to Washington and how they're playing, and like I said, it counts the same. Maybe it's a good sign, and that we don't just win when it's pretty, and we can gut one out on the road, and that's the positive we'll take away.
Yeah. Hines Allen, first game against her former team. I know plus minus isn't the end all of stats, but she was a plus 13. She did a lot of little things. It was that steal and her 3-point play that kind of got things turned around a little bit when you were down 4 in the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a great return to her former team, huh?
Yeah, and I imagine it wasn't easy for her. It was home for a while, and that's the first time coming back, and you're going to down the other end of the hall. And so I can't imagine. We didn't spend a lot of time. I didn't want to focus on it. Didn't talk to her about it, but I can only imagine, how difficult it is to, But I think once the ball goes up, and you remember what color uniform you're wearing, which team you're playing for, and then I think the difficulty in the game, and more intense timeouts, and us coaching her, because some of the mistakes that were being made, and I thought she really rose to the challenge.
He was talking about, I mean, we all know that she has the confidence to not stop shooting when shots aren't going, but she said that the entire team has to have that mentality of, if you're getting good shots, take the good shots, because they're going to go. But she had a pretty tough start tonight too, but that turnaround 3-and-1 in the lane, that was kind of the icing on the cake.
Well, we needed her to do that, and it was something that we were talking about. Said at halftime, like, Fee, where is this action? Like, I thought she could have been more persistent, and it's that fine line. Even sometimes with 2 on her, like, she can still get a shot off. It's a good shot for her. I didn't think she was being persistent enough there, and that's a great leader. Telling her teammates that are struggling, just keep doing what you do, and hopefully she was telling them, let's play defense, and everything else will take care of itself, collectively, like I say, if you look across, there was a time I looked at the stat sheet, we only had 2 players in double figures, and I think Fee was at 14 points, and I don't know who else was. I think it was actually T was at 10, and then all of a sudden, we were able to, to have a flurry offensively to do enough to win the game.
The last one for me, you talked the other day about how as we approach the playoffs, the rotation is tightening up, but some really, really key contributions off the bench from Maisha and from Natisha at both ends of the court. I mean, you have to be pretty comfortable with what you can get from your depth as the playoffs approach.
Yeah, I mean, I think the players, all the players that you saw in the game. I mean, Dork unfortunately wasn't feeling so great, so shut her down at halftime. But ordinarily you're going to see those 9 players. That's where we're at. That's the rotation, and I think that's good for us. As we saw in the last game, Chechi comes in and makes shots when others were struggling to make shots. That kind of buoyed us in the second quarter against Indiana, and we know what Dorka gives us, and so I think that I'm happy with. You mentioned T and Mai, yes, but we're also happy with Chechi and Dorka.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Terry?
Hey, Coach. Congrats on the win today.
Thanks, Terry.
In pregame, you talked a bit about the versatility and the different bigs that you have. It was in the second half, it felt like you put the clamps down defensively overall. One factor limiting the Mystics to 10 points in the paint in the second half. Just curious to hear your assessment on how your bigs played in the second half, especially with the challenge of not having Dorka available.
Yeah, and we played big for a little bit in the third quarter, and then shortly after that, I got word on Dorka. So then we were, kind of going, okay, we got to make sure that we're not overdoing it with the bigs, and then we went back to the traditional lineup and just found rhythm with Mai and Fee, and I think that what those two defensively, we talked about the versatility, who Mai can guard and allows Fee to guard other players. Land does that for us as well. So I think all of that was a factor. With all that was on display. Maisha still kind of, getting used to pick and roll schemes for us. We left the ball, too many times, and they got layups out of them. You mentioned there's only 10, but it's the easy ones that really, kind of put a knife in your heart. You work your butt off. Next thing you know, they get a layup, and but I think overall, like you said, our bigs, I like what we're doing there. I like what we can do. We can play 3 of them together. I like, when you play traditional, the combinations you can put on the floor. And for the most part, I think they've had a really good stretch of games defensively and really locked in on the pick and roll schemes.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, you're welcome.
Could I have a short one?
Sure.
Yeah, because less than a month ago, you were head coach for the Team USA.
Yeah.
And how was it getting back to the daily routine, if you can call a daily routine, these games?
Yeah, no, it was like you landed back in Minneapolis on Monday night and play a game on Thursday. And so on the plane back over, it was an immediate immersion back into, I've been watching practices while I was away, and you just turn your attention right away. You gotta get right back in it. So you had no time. You couldn't think about what, if you're tired or if you need a break, or, I always think about the players, and I'm like if the players can do it, I should be able to do this.
Professionally, is it motivating? Was it motivating getting the title?
The gold medal?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's the pinnacle, right? Like being able to coach an Olympic team to a gold medal, I think I said this to my mom. I don't need anything else. Like once you get a gold medal, there's something about that. Now, if we were to have a chance to win another championship, I'd be happy with that too.
Let that be so.
All right.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
congratulations for that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good to see you. Sorry.